Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, but the reflection isn't yours, not entirely. The face staring back is familiar, yet distorted. The eyes are darker, the smile sharper, the posture coiled like a predator. You blink, and for a fraction of a second you see it. The other you. The one who whispers doubts when you're about to take a risk. The one who revels in secret spite when someone succeeds where you failed. The one who sabotages your relationships, your ambitions, your peace, all while wearing your face, then just as suddenly it's gone. You're alone again, but the unease lingers. This is your shadow. It's the part of you that society told you to bury. The rage, the lust, the shame, the primal instincts that don't fit the good person narrative you've crafted. But here's the paradox. The more you deny it, the stronger it becomes. It doesn't disappear, it goes underground, fermenting in the dark corners of your psyche, pulling the strings of your life while you pretend it doesn't exist. Think of the last time you said "I'm fine" when you were seething inside, felt a surge of envy when a friend triumphed, acted against your values just this once, and hated yourself after. These aren't lapses in judgment. They're your shadow taking the wheel. Why do we do the very things we swore we never would? Why do we repeat patterns that hurt us despite knowing better? Why does willpower fail when we need it most? The answer isn't lack of discipline. It's not even fear. It's something far more unsettling. You are not one self, you are many. And the self you ignore, the shadow, wields power precisely because you refuse to face it. Carl Jung warned that the shadow is immoral. It doesn't care about your morals or aspirations. It only cares about expression. Deny it, and it will express itself anyway, through passive aggression, self-sabotage, or compulsive behaviors. It will project onto others, making you despise in them what you refuse to see in yourself. What if your worst traits aren't flaws, but unclaimed power? What if the parts of yourself you're most ashamed of hold the key to your wholeness? How much of your life has been dictated by a voice you've never dared to confront? This isn't theoretical, it's visceral. Your shadow isn't a metaphor. It's the reason you freeze when opportunity knocks, attract the same toxic relationships, feel like an imposter in your own life. And here's the cruelest twist. You think you're in control, but what if the real you, the integrated, fearless, authentic version of you is being held hostage by you? This is just the surface. To understand how the shadow took control, we must descend into its origins, into the psychological and philosophical forces that birthed it. The truth is darker and far more liberating than you've been led to believe. You've felt it, that gnawing sense that something else is driving you. Not fate, not circumstance, but a force within you that operates just beyond the edges of your awareness. This isn't mere impulsivity or bad habits. This is something older, darker, and far more deliberate. The shadow doesn't emerge randomly. It's created, forged by the collision between who you are and who you're told you must be. The birth of the shadow. Every child is born whole. But then the world intervenes. You're punished for crying, so you learn to swallow grief. You're shamed for wanting more, so you learn to feign contentment. You're rewarded for obedience, so you murder your defiance. These repressed traits don't vanish. They gather in the unconscious, forming what Jung called the shadow, a psychic entity composed of everything you've disowned. And here's the tragedy. The traits you bury are often your most potent. Your rage. It could have been assertiveness, your envy. It could have been ambition, your selfishness. It could have been self-respect. But because these impulses were shamed or punished, they mutated. Now they resurface in twisted forms. The rage becomes passive aggression. The envy becomes gossip. The selfishness becomes covert manipulation. Nietzsche saw this clearly. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that he does not become a monster. The shadow isn't some alien invader. It's you, the you that society couldn't tolerate. The illusion of control modern psychology confirms what Jung and Nietzsche guessed. The brain rationalizes shadow-driven behavior after the fact. You've experienced this. You snap at a loved one, then invent a reason. I'm just tired. You procrastinate, then claim, I work better under pressure. You indulge a vice, then justify, I deserved this. These aren't reasons. They're alibis. The truth? Your conscious mind is not the CEO of your psyche. It's the PR department. It spins stories to make your shadow's actions seem logical, but the real decision was made in the dark by a part of you you've refused to meet. The shadow's fuel. Society's lies civilization runs on repression. Religion calls your natural desires sin. Capitalism turns your worth into a productivity metric. Social media forces you to perform happiness. No wonder the shadow grows stronger. It feeds on everything you're forbidden to express. Schopenhauer saw this clearly. Man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. You don't choose your shadow's cravings. They're the inevitable backlash to a world that demands you amputate parts of yourself to belong. This isn't about blame. It's about cognition. Your shadow isn't evil. It's starving. It acts out because it's been denied a seat at the table of your psyche, and until you invite it into the light, it will keep hijacking your life. But here's the secret no one tells you. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's your disowned power. The consequences of this are far worse than you realize. Your shadow isn't just distorting your life, it's shaping the entire world around you. And the mechanism by which it does this is so subtle, you've probably never noticed it. You walk through life believing you're in control, that your choices are conscious, your reactions deliberate. But beneath the surface, your shadow is engineering realities you don't even recognize as its handiwork. This isn't a metaphor. It's neuroscience. It's behavioral psychology. It's the reason your life keeps circling the same drains. The projection epidemic, Jung's most chilling discovery. What you refuse to acknowledge in yourself, you'll hate in others. That co-worker whose arrogance makes your blood boil. Your disowned ambition speaking. The partner whose neediness repels you. Your buried vulnerability screaming to be seen. This is projection. Your psyche's desperate attempt to externalize what you won't face internally. The terrifying part? You don't know you're doing it. Like a marionette convinced it's dancing freely, you mistake your reactions for righteous judgment. Real-world cost. Every relationship becomes a hall of mirrors, reflecting fragments of yourself you've exiled. 2. The self-sabotage algorithm. Shadow doesn't just influence, it hijacks. Consider the job interview where you inexplicably underperform, the healthy habit abandoned just as progress begins, the perfect relationship you unconsciously torpedo. These aren't accidents. They're your shadow enforcing its core belief. You don't deserve light. Every time you approach success, it activates ancient programs of unworthiness, programs installed when you were punished for shining too bright. Neurological proof. fMRI studies show subconscious threat responses triggering before the conscious mind registers danger. Your body betrays you before your thoughts catch up. Now magnify this to society. Political extremism, mass projection of collective shadows, cancel culture, ritual purification of traits we deny in ourselves, consumerist addiction, a civilization trying to fill its spiritual void with objects. Huxley warned, modern man is addicted to not thinking. But it's worse, we're addicted to not seeing how our personal shadows birth societal monsters. The racism, the greed, the environmental rape, all are just individual shadows writ large. No, the energy drain. Here's what no one tells you about repression. It's exhausting. Maintaining the facade of having it together requires constant vigilance against shadow leaks. endless energy to sustain inauthenticity, cognitive dissonance from living dual lives. Your fatigue isn't just physical, it's soul debt, the interest on loans you took out to bury parts of yourself. The ticking clock. This isn't academic. Every day you ignore your shadow, your relationships grow more transactional, your potential calcifies into regret, your world shrinks to the size of your defenses. But there's a way out, one that doesn't require therapy or esoteric rituals. It begins with a single terrifying act of rebellion. The solution isn't to destroy your shadow, but to dethrone it. And the method for doing so will upend everything you've been taught about self-improvement. How to break free. The trap is set. Your shadow has convinced you it is you, that its voice is your voice, that its limits are your limits. But here's the secret it's been guarding. You can reclaim your psyche. Not through force, not through suppression, but through something far more radical: sacred confrontation. The shadow dialogue, Jung's mirror technique. Identify the pattern, that recurring failure, that emotion that feels too big, that person who triggers you irrationally. These are shadow signatures. The question that unlocks everything. What if the part of me I hate most is actually the part that could save me? Your rage? It's boundary enforcement waiting to be reactivated. Your neediness? It's relational intelligence in its raw form. The face-to-face meeting. Jung's method. Imagine sitting across from your shadow. Let it speak. Record what emerges. The first responses will shock you. They come from a place your conscious mind can't fabricate. Why this works? Neuroscience confirms that dialoguing with parts of ourselves, internal family systems therapy, literally rewires neural pathways. You're not just reflecting, you're reparenting your psyche. The shadow integration ritual, Nietzsche's amor fati. Stop resisting. Start alchemizing. Every morning declare, "Today, I will recognize my shadow in action 3 times. When you catch it, e.g., jealousy over a friend's success. 1. Name it. This is my disowned ambition. 2. Thank it. You're trying to show me what I truly want. 3. Redirect it. How can I pursue this for myself? The paradox. What you befriend, you disarm. What you thank, you transform. The shadow embodiment practice, Eastern wisdom meets neuroscience. Your body remembers what your mind denies. The rage ritual, scream into a pillow with the intent to release, not perform. Follow with 5 minutes of stillness. Notice the rage wasn't use, it was energy trapped by old prohibitions. The shame melt. When shame arises, place a hand on your sternum and whisper, "This is where they told me I was too much." Breathe into the heat until it shifts. Shame is just love, warped by conditional acceptance. Science confirms. Trauma researcher Bessel van der Kolk proved that repressed emotions get stored in the body. Release the sensation, and the shadow loses its grip. The shadow as ally, turning your monster into a mentor. Your shadow's greatest lie, that it wants to destroy you. Ask it nightly. What are you trying to protect me from? Listen for. They'll reject the real you. Your authenticity is emerging. You'll fail anyway. Your ambition is touching old wounds. The breakthrough. Your shadow isn't a saboteur, it's a scout from your deepest self, signaling where you're ready to grow. The collective shadow strike. How to stop feeding. The machine. Society fears integrated individuals. They can't be controlled. Opt out of projection wars. When you feel hatred toward a public figure, ask, what disowned part of me does this person represent? Practice shadow spotting. Detect the collective shadows behind trends, e.g. influencer culture, mass disowned vanity. Create shadow-safe spaces. In conversations, Model vulnerability by sharing, "I noticed my shadow today when..." Historical. Proof. Every major social shift, civil rights, feminism, began when enough individuals stopped projecting and started owning their shadows. But this is merely preparation. The ultimate truth about your shadow will invert everything you thought you knew about power, freedom, and what it means to be human. The shadow as sacred rival. Here lies the final, most dangerous truth. Your shadow isn't some defect to be healed. It's the worthy adversary your soul chose to make you stronger. This changes everything. The initiation you didn't consent. Two ancient cultures understood what modernity forgot. No one becomes whole without being broken open. The Egyptian myth of Set murdering Osiris, only for him to resurrect as lord of the underworld. The alchemical Nigredo phase, where base matter must rot before becoming gold, Nietzsche's dictum. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Your depression, your rage, your addictions. These aren't malfunctions, they're the ordeal your psyche engineered to force your evolution. The evidence. Studies on post-traumatic growth show that 70% of trauma survivors report positive psychological changes, but only after confronting what shattered them. The shadow's gift of sight. Your shadow doesn't just hide your darkness, it sees through everyone else's, that gut feeling about someone's hidden motives. Your shadow recognizing its own kind, your ability to detect lies before others do, your disowned deceit serving as an internal lie detector. The paradox, the very traits you've been taught to despise in yourself have been your most accurate navigational tools. The antidote to the age of fakery. In a world drowning in performative positivity, your shadow is the lifeline back to reality. Social media's highlight reels. Your shadow whispers, "They're suffering too." Corporate wellness propaganda. Your shadow sneers, "They want you docile." Spiritual bypassing. Your shadow growls, "Real growth includes the mess." This is why cultures feared the shadow. It obliterates illusions, and in an illusion-based economy, that makes you dangerous. The sacred reunion, becoming fully human. Integration isn't about fixing yourself, it's about reclaiming your full jurisdiction. Your rage becomes righteous discernment, your fear becomes hyper-awareness, your selfishness becomes unshakable. Self-worth, neurological proof, brain scans of long-term meditators show decreased amygdala reactivity, not because they avoid darkness, but because they've assimilated it. Tonight, when the world sleeps, do this. Light a candle in a dark room. Address your shadow aloud. Show me what you've been protecting me. 3. Wait. The first answer that comes, no matter how shocking, is your next step. This isn't a metaphor, this is applied mythology. Your shadow wasn't the villain of your story, it was a harsh mentor, the brutal sculptor, the unflinching midwife of your becoming. And now, knowing what it truly is, you stand at the threshold of the only war that ever mattered, the war to make peace with all that you are. The candle is lit, the door is open. Will you meet yourself at last?